of give me a little bit of he was starting to give me a little bit of a preview of what we're going to talk about. So,
okay,
like there were a few conversations actually mixed into my day where it's like, this is gonna be an interesting one.
they always are.
Yeah. And we'll see who wants to jump in and join us for the adventure of today. Leroy, come here, bud. Leroy.
So I did name the session in a certain way, but who knows? But
Yeah.
there's always a name. And this is number 19.
Ooh, nice.
It's a primary number, 19?
It is actually a prime number.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, hold on.
And we're 11 days from spring.
Ooh, 11 is one of my favorite numbers. Where's the stream? I gotta send this to a friend of mine. Let's see who shows up first before we actually.
There's Rosemary.
Yes.
First.
It was kind of nice taking a couple week break off of doing this, just because I was kind of getting a little burnt out from doing it as much as we were. So
It is a lot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
As well as the post.
Yeah. Let's see who else shows up here in a second, and we'll get started when we can actually start before other people come in. But let's, who wants to join? All that good stuff.
Yeah. I'll put the ringer on mute.
That's not a bad idea.
It is on mute. That thing's still up. All on mute. Thank you for that.
Welcome, one and all, to our three-ring circus of enjoyment and aliens and all the other fun stuff.
Before we get too serious.
We have all sorts of aliens of all sorts of shapes, sizes, and varieties in ways you can't imagine, and things you can't imagine that they look like.
That's right.
We have beings that are quasi-physical, and also we have beings that are like half bird people and dragons and other fun stuff that go along with adventures and all the other stuff that goes along in history, and you don't realize are actually real, just on another level. Sometime in the future, for anyone that's watching this, I'm going to try to make an actual connection to Thoth or Tote, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Because actually, his name is Tote. It's actually pronounced Tote. But I want to actually try to make a connection to him and see if I can't bring him through sometime. Like, just because that energy is like big and it's fun. So. We'll wait 1 or 2 more minutes.
That is a woman for this one.
How you doing, Diamond? Ooh, we got 7 people. Oh, we got 8. Nice. So anyone that wants to, we'll do a mix of questions for Ethium. So if you guys have questions, Jozef he'll be doing general questions, and then if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll get started here in a second, and we'll have some fun. So make sure you guys put your questions in the box when you guys are ready. So. Nice. It's been nice having a break the last couple of weeks because I've been getting a little too much doing it all the time. So. How you doing, Val? Make sure you put them in the box. Jozef will throw it in there when he actually has time. So
There we go.
yeah, that's actually why I want to do him, because he's all that. What's up? How you doing, Kevon?
This
All
one
right.
is delayed.
We have a good amount of people here to start with.
The YouTube and the Facebook are quicker.
Okay. Oh, you have it 3 streaming?
I have more, but I just opened 3. It's a lot on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you ready?
Do your thing.
Oh, I can handle multiple, no problem.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. We got people here. Let's do the thing.
Let's welcome Ethan.
Good day to you all. How are you today?
Hello, Ethan. Really great.
Perfect. Today, we would like to deliver the idea of a new understanding of what it means to integrate into your way of doing and being, understanding that those aspects of yourself as a being that you struggle with in life are generally the principles that hold you back, that you allow to hold you back in most situations and most times. When you allow yourself to integrate those aspects of yourself that you have been told are evil, disgusting, despicable, you're be given an opportunity each time these particular topics and these aspects of yourself show themselves to you in a very obvious way, to be able to deal with them, to be able to integrate them into your being and your personality, to allow you to move forward in a much more accelerated way than you would had you not been given the opportunity to actually integrate and incorporate the aspect of yourself that you may not necessarily like, but it is part of you, of your whole being, in every situation, in every day. This is the idea we would like to give to you. A new perspective.
Thank you. How many of these integration happens throughout a lifetime?
Infinite.
Infinite.
Understand that you are always becoming a new being at all times, all places. Everywhere that you integrate into, each aspect of yourself will show itself slightly differently. So that is another aspect of yourself that you need to integrate and allow to be part of you more naturally. As you move forward in the frequencies that you as a planet are moving through currently, you are being given many opportunities throughout your day, throughout your entire life, to integrate and become one with those aspects of yourself that you may not like, but they are there for a reason.
I see. 1 second. Would you be able to give a couple examples of these integrations?
Say you have been told your entire life that you are worthless. The aspects of you that you do not like are not worth living, not worth having into your life. Say you do not have a skill, you do not have the ability to do something. When these things are arriving in your life for you to actually do and practice, and you're being given a chance to make them part of you, this is part of the integration. The definitions that you choose to hold on to that are out of line with you, those are part of your shadow, which are part of you, the darker aspects of you that you do not necessarily appreciate or like about yourself when you reject yourself. These are parts of yourself that are being asked for you to integrate into your being and what you can do and who you are and how you present yourself throughout your entire life.
Thank you. Once, no, let me ask you this. What would integration look like for the example you gave of worthlessness?
The idea that what you have to offer to the world is not worth anything. The fact that you came through, that you incarnated into this particular time space, that you have something to give because there are people there to receive it. The people that choose to actually integrate and will receive what you have to give, those are the people that are there for it. Much in the way that the channel in the past has twitched quite a bit when he has been channeling us and bringing us through. We have been taking him through a process of integration in the last few weeks of your time to be able to more easily bring us through with less of a degradation and interruption to the actual channel itself and the connection.
Thank you. And that's in essence another form of integration.
Yes, because he's been given a chance to say that what he's bringing through and giving to the world is good enough.
I see. Thank you.
Because what most of you as a people have been told most of your lives, not all of you, but most of you have been told what you have to offer is not worth for anyone to actually receive. So therefore, that is part of your shadow. That is part of the aspect of yourself that you have not come to terms with and not have made part of your whole. Yourself as a being. And in many ways, this is the things that you allow to hold you back.
Right. What would one need to do or not to do in order to even discover these issues that he or she being presented on and on?
It is impossible not to run up against these things. You live a life, you live on a planet that's very dualistic in nature. You live in a life that is very polarized in nature. The only way you would not truly be able to discover that you have these sort of issues, these ways of being and doing, is by not living. Many of the things that humans as a whole do not like about themselves are the aspects of themselves they have not integrated, and they still have a very negative definition around. And when they show up, those are usually the moments that you have self-judgment and shame around who and what you are.
Right.
We would say that the idea of forgiveness and radical self-acceptance of who and what you are and what you have to offer, and understand that if you have something to give, there is always someone there to receive.
I love that. How do you define or describe radical self-acceptance?
A complete and utter acceptance of who and what you are, knowing that nothing you have to offer is worthless. The only reason that many of you experience the idea of worthlessness through the expression of who and what you are is because you've been told that. You must explore those particular definitions that came along with that particular idea.
Thank you. Do you think that the younger the age that someone is said they're not worthy or being yelled at, this is not how you do it, you'll never learn, it lingers with them longer?
Yes.
Yes.
Imagine you've had an entire lifetime of everyone telling you what you have to offer is not worth it, that you discuss them, that you will have the idea of self-judgment around being able to offer what you did come to this particular incarnation to give. The channel himself could have actually started channeling us much sooner, but he had to work through many, many, many beliefs that inhibited his ability to actually bring us through. He did hear the call for us to actually come through him, but because many beliefs he had around what he had to offer, he didn't believe he was worthy of performing the task that you see him doing now.
Thank you. What happens when someone integrates, looks into the fear or issue that they're facing and resolves it? What happens when this has been absorbed?
You will generally see a lightness about that particular person around those situations. You will see that many times there is a lightning. You will see that there is a integration, an acceptance of self. Remember, most of this is around the acceptance of what happens to you, what happened in your life in many different situations that you may have not had control over when you were younger. But the moment these things actually occur, where you're able to actually accept that maybe something was out of your control and you didn't necessarily have the ability to do anything about it, and be okay with it.
Right.
It's more of an acceptance of who you are and what you have to offer.
Right. Ethan, do you think that in our current society, uh, memory complex, it is more prevalent than it was maybe 100 or 200 years ago?
No, now at this point, because you have the technology and more of a collective consciousness that is more physicalized via your internet in a much more out there way, it may seem as if it is less, it is more, but in essence, it is actually less because you are actually be given a chance on a collective scale to actually deal with these situations that have arisen in your history. It just seems that way because you have so many people comparing notes.
Right. So the process of ascension at the base of it is understanding and accepting who I am.
Yes.
Therefore, whatever baggage I've been carrying for whatever happened to me, I have to let go of in order for me to turn to the golden path, so to speak.
Yes. This is where forgiveness plays a large role in what you have to offer. Forgiving yourself for what you did not do, forgiving yourself for recreating events that did not actually happen the way you believe they happened. That was some other version of you that is experiencing that right now, but you are never that version of you.
Can you run that by me again, please?
Imagine that you have ancestors. Many of these ancestors committed horrible atrocities, correct?
Sure. Yes.
The idea is you are not your ancestors. You may have that inform the way you do things, the way you approach and you view the world, but being able to actually understand that you are not your ancestors. Same thing in your incarnation that you think you are that child. That child is a completely different being. You may have a memory or a connection to that particular event in that lifetime that you are experiencing, but you are not that version of you.
And when you're saying that child, do you mean in the current incarnation?
Yes, because everything is simultaneous. You are literally not that version of you.
Right.
Many people act out of the idea of negative beliefs that have been running their lives for many, many, many years over different lifetimes. But the continuity that comes along with the realization and the ability to see from a higher perspective allows you to no longer experience those particular negative beliefs in the way that affects your life so negatively.
Right. So in essence, we're talking about free will. I have the free will to be who I want to be at any given moment.
Yes, this is where the idea of forgiveness comes into play.
Right.
Forgiving yourself for something you never did. Forgiving yourself for the events that happened. You may have been out of alignment with who you are, that you may have done something negative, but allowing those events to integrate into you, to forgive those things, to allow them to integrate into your being so they can inform your decisions, but no longer color in how you feel when you interact with others, and interact with yourself, interact with your pets, in your whole life.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful because really, if you can do that, or when you do that, you can feel a lot of weight lift off you.
Yes. And that is the idea of integration, because you're no longer carrying those things that never belonged to you in the first place.
So, what stops people from just doing that?
Because people recreate the idea of negative beliefs that actually color their situations, color their experience of life, and don't allow themselves to be fully present in every moment. They're always constantly living in the past. Because me and my species, we know that the present is the only moment. All time, all space, all realities are all happening simultaneously. So there's nowhere else to be other than the present moment.
This, right. And forgive me for really like hard for me to even grasp the concept of multiple timelines. But
Yeah.
that means if I've done some atrocity or some bad to someone, the next moment I'm not that person anymore. I can like just keep going about my day.
Yes. But it doesn't absolve you of the action that is taken. It may be a particular event that you chose to play out in your lifetime that is something there to teach you and help you grow and expand as a being. That if it was not there, you would not be the fully expanded version of yourself that you will experience at the end of your incarnation.
What about someone who murdered another person in cold blood?
Many times, those sort of situations are set up prior to the actual incarnation. It does not absolve the action themselves, but many times those psychoses that happen via a murder are lifetimes that have played out where one has played the murderer, one has played the victim, and they've played both roles vice versa many times. And especially around this time period energetically for your civilization, many of these types of situations, many of these types of storylines and experiences are finishing.
Right.
But understand this is still part of the process. You are all going through the ascension.
And would you say that even all the violent deaths happening in all the wars around the world, they're also pre-made contracts of sorts?
In a way, much of like what you are seeing in your Ukraine currently between the idea of Russia and Ukraine itself and many other conflicts. These conflicts are happening to let you know that you do not want to have it. How are you reacting to these particular interactions, these particular events? Are letting you know where you as a species are actually on your particular vibrational frequency that allows you to move forward.
Right.
What reality would you like to shift to?
Yes, I see. And all the people that go to these wars and die or injure or have to kill another person in the wars,
Yes.
what what about them? What happens to their being?
As we said, many of these kind of situations are actually set up prior to the incarnation. They could potentially not happen, but in many cases, they come through to be an example or be there to allow the collective to decide what it wants. And they have played out these situations in wars over many lifetimes through many different versions of themselves, many different incarnations that they're connecting to. And especially at this time period of your world, you're being given a chance to decide, would you like to continue war?
Right.
Look at it as a forgiveness opportunity. Look at it as a chance to integrate those aspects of yourself as a collective in yourself individually and collectively to be able to decide for yourself ultimately what kind of reality would you like to exist in.
I see what you mean.
Yes, this is where we bring the idea of integration. You're being given many, many opportunities to integrate those aspects of yourself that you may not appreciate or understand. Because remember, there are many things in your subconscious as a collective that have not been dealt with. What you have been seeing over essentially the last 10 plus years now is you are going through that process where you are actually integrating and deciding whether or not you would like to actually continue on with it, much in the way that you have the idea of power and control. You have seen that over your COVID, your time space period where you were given an opportunity to decide what did you want to have your culture look like? What state did you want to live in? Where did you want to live in your existence? Where do you see yourself energetically? Because you were given an opportunity on such a mass scale, you will be given more opportunities in the future, but not necessarily like you had during the initial phases of that particular event.
Is that COVID period was the largest kind of opportunity for everyone?
Yes. because you were doing it on such a mass scale energetically over your entire planet, you were being given a chance to actually decide whether or not you wanted to actually continue on with how you live.
Would you say that the COVID period was really set up for what's happening now, which is letting people re-examine how they govern themselves, how they tax themselves, everything about this culture, really?
Yes. Simply yes.
Simply yes. Yeah.
You notice that during the prime examples or the prime periods when you were more in the idea of a lockdown or a interruption of your connection,
Yeah.
you had the idea of working through particular topics on a mass in a very focused way that you would have never been able to work through had your society remained the same.
It did really awaken a lot of people to what it means to be free and what freedom means and
Yes.
how they want to live their lives.
This is the purpose. This is the reason why you, as a culture, as people, went through those particular events.
Okay, but everyone was exposed to this thing in this or that way or another, but
Yes.
there's still things in front of people's face that they refuse to acknowledge they exist. Many of these issues still yet to surface.
Many of these people that were experiencing different realities where they were reacting to those things in a very particular way. In your United States, on this particular continent of North America that you and the channel exist on, think of each individual province or state as a state of being. You are being given multiple realities, multiple energetic placements to be able to decide how you would like to experience your reality. Many different places experienced it in different ways where there were deaths, yes. And some people were making their exit because this was the pre-designated time for them to leave. It may not have been pretty, but it was their time to leave.
Right. Do you think that the COVID period served its purpose?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that you did have a chance to actually look at your collective. No, in the sense that you did not completely work through all of the energetic backlog of energy and beliefs that you have collectively, that you are still currently working through.
I would give us as a society a very low grade. I think that the no part is much larger than the yes part.
We would actually give you a very high grade for, as a collective, over your entire world, you did have a chance to work through things and you were able to uplift things. It may not seem at the moment that you worked through very much, but on a collective level, you worked out much of the information and the collectives that you decided to incarnate into to change. We would give you a very high actual grade when it comes to how you actually dealt with that particular event.
Well, thank you. That's comforting, but most people still can't see the white lines in the sky. And there's not a single politician, right or left, that has ever said anything.
It's because they're not ready for it. Forgive them for not being able to exist on a level where they can actually perceive those things. Many of you that are shifting to higher frequencies, you are hearing stories of seeing more ships around the world. You are seeing more events of more ships disappearing where they are becoming more and more common. Those of you that have this in your reality, because you are able to perceive these things more readily, you are being given an opportunity to know that your frequency is raising. And those people that don't want to shift up and move up to the higher frequencies, they don't see those things.
Okay. Okay. I want to ask you something. I don't know if it's related or not, but I looked at the news from Israel, and there was two children that went missing, and doesn't matter how many people look for them and where, just gone, just swallowed.
Yes.
Any idea about these things?
They were lost. The idea of your Ukraine war saw many children become trafficked when they were lost.
I see.
We would ask you at this time to take a few questions from the chat.
Yes. Okay, what do we got? Okay. Val is asking, Ethium, what do the ancient technology tools hidden underneath Easter Island look like?
They are not physical. It is more of frequency, is more of a connection to the greater aspect of yourself. They are not particularly physical in that way. They are more of a frequency. They are on a higher level. The actual physical portion of them were shifted out of your reality many, many thousands of years ago.
Ethan, what is he asking about? I've never heard of this.
He is asking about how they moved many of the large stone structures around your planet. Because remember that Easter Island itself was part of Lemuria. It was a airport in a way. It was a way for different beings to be able to travel to different stars energetically and just teleport.
I see. Okay, thank you. We have a question from Diamond Mind. What is the best way to integrate these aspects?
To come from a place of forgiveness and compassion. Understand that everyone is doing the best they can. Do not allow yourself to be mistreated, but also forgive yourself as well. Forgiveness is the key to many of the problems that you have not quite integrated. You have not accepted that aspect of yourself. You have not allowed the self-judgment of yourself and the shame that comes along with any sort of action you might have taken in any particular situation to still affect you. So therefore, forgiveness and kindness to yourself is usually the best option to start with.
Thank you. There's another question from Diamond here. Is there an exercise that could be done to integrate?
Allow yourself to see yourself in a space that is unique to you. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. See the situation or a person that you have not forgiven, and say in your mind or out loud, whatever one works best for you, I forgive you. I allow this situation to no longer affect me, and I allow myself to be okay with this event. You can modify it as needed, but this is the simplest way we can put it forward for you.
Thank you. That is the same question. These are all the current questions from the stream.
Okay. We can return to your questions.
Thank you. Ethan, I wanted to ask you about the upcoming solar flare. What could you tell me about it?
You are being given a chance to look your shadow again. The idea that the shadow moves across areas that are needing change, needing growth. It is revealing the shadow of the areas that need to adjust energetically to new ways. You will see uproar, you will see disturbances in those areas, but these are the energies themselves being dealt with.
So the solar flare affects people's emotions?
Yes. It is a very high energetic event, so it affects you. Understand that those large energetic bodies that you see inside of your star system, your solar system, do affect you on a level. Because understand that when you are going through the idea of a full moon, you are expressing the end of a cycle, and you see many more people expressing a elevated energy level that they would not have during a new moon when there is no moon in your sky.
Right.
Those energetic bodies, those solar objects, do actually have energetic purposes to them. That is why they were intuited through your astrology many thousands of years ago.
I see. Thank you. I believe that
Yeah.
the new moon is today, yesterday.
Yes.
What's the significance of the new moon, please?
The idea of the new moon is you are starting on a new cycle. When you have finished the previous cycle, you're getting an opportunity to give yourself essentially 30 days to work through something different. It's just the start of a cycle. It's not complicated.
Okay. With the solar flare, would it affect any kind of electronic devices?
Some. Most of the shift that you are going through, you're going to see a rapid evolution in your technology over the next 2 years because you will be going up to a new frequency. So many of the technology, the way they are currently tuned, will actually not work completely. They will be more spotty at best. You will have to make some adjustments to be able to have your equipment actually function in the way you need it to. They already know this. They know this is coming. The idea of control and power and the need for control coming from a negative aspect is what you have been seeing play out over your planet for thousands of years. They do know many of the things that we are saying even before we say it, but they also know that the time and the cycle that they have been going through that you may believe is going to get worse, it's not. You are shifting to a frequency where those things can no longer exist. So understand that the particular solar flare that you were going through, it is reflective of an upgrade of you energetically as beings on a planet.
Thank you. Is there any preparation required for it?
No, you are on a planet that's perfectly suited to actually endure these particular things. But understand energetically from the point of view you as a being, when things do arise, you are being shown what you need to work through.
Right. And when communications goes down or spotty, does that mean freeing people and less control to the powers that be?
Yes. But you are being given a way to get quiet.
Right.
Much of your technology and much of your civilization is very distracting by nature, by design.
Yeah.
So when you're being given opportunities to have quiet, this is what you're being actually given a chance to do.
How long would this quiet last for?
Only a short time. It is not the world-ending event that they predicted.
Right. Wouldn't it be better if it lasted for a few days or weeks?
It would, but it would be more of a disruption to your society at whole. So it was being more done in pockets.
And you think that's enough to kind of kick people up to the next level?
If it does that, yes. If it doesn't, and you need a larger event, that will happen.
I see. I see.
It is all naturally synchronistic in nature. So the ability to actually have these events, understand that if a larger event does happen, it's okay. It's just giving you a chance to look at yourself.
Right.
Think the
Good.
macro and the micro. What
Right.
happens on the macro affects the micro. What happens on the micro level affects the macro level.
Okay. There's some chat on some of these Telegram channels I've been looking at.
Yes.
The technology will move, like all the phones will be different and all the communication systems will be different.
Yes.
But I don't see any evidence that any new devices or technology is coming up or any talk about it.
These will more The idea of the technology that you are speaking of, where everything will change drastically, is more of a long-term event. As we have stated many times before, you don't want everything to happen all at once.
Right.
It's an evolution. You as a species are going through an evolution. As personally, culturally, spiritually, you are going through an uplifting of who and what you are that you could not fathom 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
The fact that you are having this conversation with a being that is not on your world through a person acting like a long distance telephone would have seemed incredibly weird 40 years ago.
It's still weird for some now, but yeah, it's a little bit more acceptable.
But because you are going through the process and allowing yourself to see it as more natural, as natural communication, as a way of communicating to other people, therefore you're being given an opportunity to actually experience these things.
Right. Thank you.
You want the evolution to happen naturally over time. If it all happened all at once, your civilization would cease to exist. Your world would fall apart. Because remember, on a version of Earth in your past, well, another version of Earth's past, when they revealed the existence of extraterrestrials way too soon, way before your society was ever ready, you destroyed yourselves.
Fair enough. Where do you see flight and travel, like cruise ships or even like sailboats that people go for fun? Is it going to still continue?
Yes. Do you still enjoy doing those things?
Yeah.
Then yes. There's no reason to take any of those things away from you. Unless you're doing something incredibly negative.
Right. Electric cars, some people say they're great for the environment, but some people say that to get the ore for the battery or whatever, it's enslaving young children, and the material is there's some high aspect of pollution. What's your
Yes.
view on our electric cars, please?
On the idea of electric cars, they are a step forward, but they are being done in a negative way currently. They are being extracted in a way that supplements people, supplicates their ability to live and exist in a free way that props up a large portion of your population. Understand, over the next few years, as you progress forward, new technology will come forward to replace much of the negative aspects of these situations. Understand that this is still the idea of duality. You are living on a world of duality currently.
Yeah. And by duality, I mean the electric car is good for something, but not good for another.
Yes, you have the polar opposites.
Right.
You have the negative and the positive.
And new technology will be also electric based?
Well, it'll be slightly different than that. The idea of plasma or hydrogen fuel, there will be technology over the next short amount of years to you, that will replace much of gasoline, the way they produce electricity now. That will be much more sustainable and much more feasible for people and the environment.
And the hydrogen, it creates electricity or
It creates a
pressure?
gas. It creates a gas.
And that goes to the pistons, like similar to what we have now.
It will be much cleaner though. You won't have the idea of the gunk on your engines. You will also see technology over the next few years that will not break down the way your current technology does.
Right. Would these cars be any safer?
Yes. You wouldn't have the idea of the combustible gas or the combustible fuel that would burn up. You will still have accidents, yes, but you will see less of a pollution of your environment.
Right. Would they self-drive?
Some.
Some.
Do you enjoy driving? Do you enjoy being able to drive yourself and take yourself places?
I do.
Then why would you want to deny yourself that benefit or that experience?
I see. Okay, very good. And this type of engine could be fitted to other vehicles, planes, trains,
Yes,
boats.
you will see an evolution in your technology. This is all done in steps on purpose.
I see.
If you could, please take a few more questions from the chat.
We don't have any new questions at the moment.
Then please proceed.
Okay. No question. All right.
The channel is making us aware to continually ask the chat, the people connecting to this particular transmission, to receive their questions, to have them answered.
I will type it in. Guys, ask your questions. All right. Okay.
But understand that as you move away from the idea of the dualistic mindset, the dualistic way of thinking, into more of a collective consciousness that integrates all aspects of you and everyone else around you, that your technology will reflect that. This is necessary for the expansion and the evolution of your species, for you to change and grow into the particular realities that match and reflect your particular vibration in every moment.
Yes. Yeah.
The reason that we work with you on more your beliefs and connect with you on your beliefs is this is the key cornerstone of our ability to connect with you and for you to raise your vibration.
Thank you. I had two topics listed here that I want to ask you about.
Yes.
The first, if you can expand a little bit about shifting timelines and what timelines are.
Timelines are more the idea of connection between different parallel realities. You are shifting all the time to realities that reflect the particular frequency you have in that moment. You are shifting constantly. It's happening so subtly, so smoothly, you don't know what's happening. As you raise your vibration, your frequency, you become more aware and more cognizant of when you have shifted from one reality to another and experienced a different reality, a different past, and you retain the information of that particular past or reality that you were previously in.
But you don't know when you shift the timeline.
You're always shifting. You're shifting right now. I'm shifting right now. I'm shifting through billions of parallel realities, much in the same way that you are. I'm just very cognizant because I'm quasi-physical and I have the ability to actually see and integrate all that is brought through me.
I see.
Remember, I am just a guide. I am here just to help you expand. I am not here to scold you. You are not children. You are my ancestors. So therefore, I'm coming to help you understand these things more fully so future generations and the descendants of the beings on your planet currently will have the ability to live a more fulfilled, happy life.
Thank you.
Yes, this is why you are doing the work now, because future generations will actually be able to expand on the work that we are all doing now.
Yes, I do feel that this is pioneering work.
Yes, that is why we are all doing this currently.
Thank you.
Yes.
My last subject for tonight I want to ask you about is a bit of view about genetics versus epigenetics.
Yes.
What
would you like to know?
Well, our genetics as human is limited. I mean, you know, I'm
No, you are not. No, you are not. You contain extraterrestrial DNA that was encoded into your DNA that was when you were created the human form. You, as souls, are not limited. You, as beings, are only as limited as you think you are. Understand that there are beings that don't even remotely look like you that you have in your DNA that make up the way you look, you act, genetics that have been pre-selected for particular parts of the world that you live on that were part of the process that created humans in the first place. And now that you are in the particular age that you are seeing a full, more expansive display of these particular genetics that are actually coming to the surface and allowing you to decide whether or not you want to continue on with them. Culturally speaking, you have replicated actual societies from off world to connections to versions of you that are off world. So you are not limited in any way, shape, or form. That in itself is a belief that you are limited even remotely.
I see. Thank you. I was more relating to the physical body.
You are not limited even in that sense. The only limitations that you take on as the physical body, because there are many things you cannot experience as a soul, as a spirit, purely energetically, that you can only experience having those particular limitations that you have. So in that way, you are not limited. You are only limited by the amount of definitions you place on yourself.
Okay, thank you.
If you are saying that you would like to be able to turn into a ball of energy and travel the world or the universe, it is not necessary for this particular incarnation to experience this at this time.
What about someone who's born with I don't know, like some issue in the body? Can they? Some can be fixed, some cannot. What would be the reason for not being born completely healthy?
Those particular situations are actually pre-selected before they incarnate to help that particular soul expand in their awareness and their consciousness. Sometimes they can be healed when they have used up that particular situation. But ultimately, many of those types of situations are actually pre-selected prior to the incarnation for that soul to grow. You don't know what they chose. You don't know why they chose it, but it is there for a purpose to help them grow in their and expand in their awareness and who they are as a being.
Would that be true with the guy on the street who is a drunk and does not want to clean up? He chose
Yes.
that existence?
Yes. He chose the experience of contraction,
Right.
of believing he's worthless, which is a fallacy in itself because none of you are worthless.
Yes. Very good. And okay, so from this perspective, epigenetics could be considered as what I do with with what I was handed with the physical or environmental situation, how I respond to it.
Yes.
Okay.
As a culture on a more macro level, you as a collective, and we would say a collective, have decided that you would like to go through a particular theme. And you all as a collective had decided that you would like to experience this particular theme. But because you are all connected in a much more holistic way at this point, and you are able to have these sort of interactions with beings like us, you are being shown differently.
Right.
When you know you have a chance, you have a choice to choose differently, and you choose to keep doing those things that are unhealthy, that are cause you to contract, it's giving you opportunity to integrate and look at why you are doing those things. Why do you keep doing those things? If you keep doing it, it's not a habit. It's not something you don't know you're doing. It's a choice. Why are you doing those things?
Right.
This is why we say start from a place of kindness and forgiveness for yourself. Because understand, many people are doing the best they can in all situations with what they have in those times and those places.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you
There's
very
no
much.
shame. There's no self-judgment that is actually true. Many of those self-judgments that you've placed upon yourself for many, many years, many times those negative things are never true.
Excellent. Thank you very much for today. We are complete.
Good day.
Good day.
Yeah, that was good. No, that was great.
Oh, great. Thank you.
How y'all doing today? That was actually, I think that was one of the easier ones I've ever done. Like, that was good. Also, everyone that also everyone that's watching this stream and in the future, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channels that these are all on. And we'll talk, and we'll see you guys soon. And you guys have a